You didn't choose the Savior, He chose you. And that truth alone should shake you to your core. Because when Jesus calls you to walk with Him, He's not inviting you on a quiet stroll through comfort and safety. He's summoning you into a battlefield where your soul is refined through fire and your faith is tested through storms. Just ask Peter, who stepped out of the boat not because he was brave, but because Jesus said, "Come." And that single word carries more power than 1,000 sermons, you see. Your journey with the Savior begins the moment you stop trying to understand everything and start obeying His voice even when it makes no earthly sense. Because faith was never about certainty, it's about surrender. And that's why Abraham left everything without knowing where he was going. Hebrews chapter 11 verse 8. And maybe that's exactly where you are now, in the middle of nowhere. Walking with a God you cannot see. Trusting a promise you cannot touch. And yet something inside you refuses to give up. Because the shepherd's voice is louder than the wolves that surround you. But don't be deceived, following Jesus will cost you everything. And if it hasn't cost you anything, you're probably not following Him but just admiring Him from a distance. Like the rich young ruler who walked away sorrowful, Mark chapter 10 verse 22. Unwilling to trade his status for surrender. Yet what he failed to see is that the narrow road doesn't lead to less, it leads to more peace in the storm. More purpose in the pain. More clarity in the chaos. And there are moments on this path where God will strip away every distraction, not to punish you but to prepare you. Because He's about to trust you with something greater. And before He gives you the miracle, He'll test your heart in the wilderness, where the silence screams and heaven seems far. And you'll be tempted to turn back like the Israelites longing for Egypt. But don't, you were not saved to go back. You were called forward. And even when you stumble, grace will carry you like it did for David, who fell hard but never walked away from God's presence. Psalm chapter 51 verse 11. And here's a shocking truth. The closer you get to Jesus, the more spiritual warfare you will face. Because your obedience is a threat to hell's agenda. And every time you say yes to Jesus, you tear down another stronghold. So don't be surprised when the attacks intensify right after you take a step of faith. It's confirmation, not condemnation. And in those moments, remember that you don't walk alone. Because the one who walks beside you is the Lion of Judah. Not some soft-spoken deity who flinches in the face of darkness, but the victorious King who already crushed death and called you by name. And if you truly understood the power of who walks with you, you'd stop negotiating with fear and start commanding mountains to move. Because the same Spirit that raised Jesus from the dead lives in you. Romans chapter 8 verse 11. And that means even your darkest valley is a setup for glory. Even your waiting season is woven into divine timing. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 11. And the very thing you think disqualifies you, your past, your scars, your weakness, is the very thing God will use to show the world His grace. Because He doesn't call the qualified, He qualifies the called. And if you dare to keep walking with Him, you'll find that what looked like a detour was actually destiny in disguise. And what felt like a delay was God's protection from what you weren't ready to carry. So don't just believe in Jesus, follow Him. Fiercely, daily, without compromise. Because this journey is not about arriving, it's about becoming. And He's not just walking ahead of you, He's walking inside of you. Transforming you from glory to glory. 2 Corinthians chapter 3 verse 18. And if you can still hear His voice, even faintly, it means the story isn't over. The fire hasn't gone out. And the call still stands. Pick up your cross. Take the next step. And never look back.